Market cap at under $600 billion, and some crypto experts warn that the worst may not be over. World leaders send mixed signals on crypto at Davos at the World Economic Forum. Another exchange gets hacked. Ratings agency Weiss releases a controversial set of crypto ratings. And Tether severs its relationship with its auditors, causing even more uncertainty about its liquidity. Good evening, you're watching Crypto Trader, the world's first televised cryptocurrency investment show. I'm Crypto Manran and you're watching on CNBC Africa. It's been another bloody January on the markets, but we're going to continue with our January coverage, interviewing the biggest names in crypto to find out what they think 2018 has in store. This week we're bringing you some of the most influential and some of the oldest guys in the blockchain space. We start off with Erik Voorhees, and he's the CEO and founder of Shapeshift. This is one of those guys that's been in the blockchain since 2011, and as far as I know, he sold Satoshi Dice in 2013 for an undisclosed amount of money. Erik, you're one of the OGs in this space. You've been around for a while. What are you looking for in 2018?
Yeah, in 2018, I think will be the year of the securities tokens, and I think that's one of the most obvious trends that I've ever tried to predict. 2017 was ICOs, most of which trying to be utility tokens, and I think that trend will continue. But coins that are actually securities, which means registered as securities under some securities regulator, is going to be the big thing. And I think a lot of non-crypto companies are going to start issuing securities tokens.
Do you think when these securities tokens launch, there's going to be a space for the traditional utility token?
Yeah, absolutely. Of all the tokens that exist, some will be securities, mostly the ones that promise profits or dividends or voting rights. And then a lot of them will be utility tokens. And I don't know which basket will be larger in quantity or market value, but both are legitimate. Both will have some winners and a lot of losers.
Erik, Bitcoin and Ethereum seem to have become the more stable coins, and all the mania is happening in the ICOs. Are we in an ICO bubble?
I think the entire valuation of all cryptos is in a huge bubble right now. So that will end. Maybe we're already on the downside of the bubble popping. That's hard to tell, except in hindsight. I've been through several of these bubbles, and they're very obvious while they're happening, but you can never really know how high they'll go or how far they'll fall or when they pop.
So what's your investment strategy at this point of the cycle?
Holding Bitcoin and Ethereum is like the best, easiest way to do it, and just put it in a vault or in a hardware wallet and leave it for 3 or 5 or 10 years. That is the correct strategy. And then beyond that, any projects that are interesting, like I really love Salt, for example. These projects, putting some funds into them, but realizing that they too might be overvalued during a bubble, that's all fine.
Erik, there's a thesis that says that even if we are in a bubble, if you buy and hold the tokens that you really believe in, the storm will blow over and things will carry on. What do you think?
And there's no way to know where you are in the bubble. So, for example, Dash, early last year, Dash was like $7 or $8, and when it rose up to 40 or 45, I thought, oh, that's totally a bubble. No fundamental reason for that growth, and I scaled out of most of the Dash that I had. Fast forward till today, and Dash is like $900 or $1,000. So I was just completely wrong. And it's totally possible that even after the crash happens, Dash will settle in the $100 to $500 range. So my call of it being a bubble, even though it looked like one, was totally the wrong call, even if it is in a bubble now. So there's really no way to know the scale of these things.
Erik, a few weeks ago, you'll remember that the market dropped by about 40 or 50%. And most people said that was the big crash. But you're of the opinion that we haven't even started the big crash.
So generally, when the bubbles pop, there are some days of really crazy drops, like 20 or 40%. And then there are a lot of days where it falls 5 or 10%. And obviously, during that whole phase, there are also up days that continue to trick people into thinking it's rebounding. And when you really know the bubble popped is only 2 to 6 months later, when you can really see that, the market has really fundamentally moved off its highs for a significant period of time. That's when you can say the bubble popped. It's totally possible we're in a temporary reversal right now, and that we'll hit new highs a month from now. I doubt it, but I've been surprised by crypto before.
What about the fact that the institutional money is not yet in the markets? I mean, today we've got a market cap of $500 billion, which means that probably about $100 billion of actual fiat has moved in. Surely the institutional money must be coming in?
That argument can always be used, and it was absolutely used in the 2013 bubble when Bitcoin went up to $1,100. There were, at that time, very many people saying, okay, this price is high, but no institutional money is even in this yet. That's kind of true, but at the same time, as soon as the tide turns and people start moving out of the market, the institutional money freezes up again, and all the boards that would approve those investments become more hesitant. They exit the market. They become scared again because they don't really understand this stuff. So institutional money can move in, and it can move out, or it can stay on the sidelines very easily.
Erik, if the crash is coming, where would you be investing now?
Things like Litecoin, I think, has proven substantial staying power and is a reasonably conservative crypto bet. Dash, Monero, and Zcash have proven themselves as well, and I think they belong to an important category of privacy-centric coins. Those are good. Ripple, I think, is I would stay the hell away from that. I don't know why anyone would buy XRP when XRP is not needed for the banking network that the Ripple company is building. And
what about IOTA?
I mean, anything that came out in the last year is going to be super volatile. So even if IOTA is the coolest project in the world from a technical level, and I don't know that much about it, but even if it were, just the fact that it's so new means that people are not going to have much confidence in its value yet. So it will be volatile. Amazingly, one of the most stable coins has been Dogecoin, which is nuts, but that's been the case.
We move on with our coverage from the biggest names in crypto. This time we move on to New York City, where I have Steve Nerayoff on the line. Steve, you're one of the most influential and one of the first people in blockchain. In fact, I haven't seen a list of the top 100 people in blockchain without your name on it. But some of our viewers don't know you. So for the viewers who don't know you, give us a little bit of a history as to your journey in the cryptocurrency space.
So my journey started, in the early days, 2010, 2011. Was fortunate to be an early member of Ethereum, and my contribution, amongst the many other things, was to find the legal structure to do a crowd sale without it being an illegal securities offering. And in short, the way I came up with it was to utilize what I called functionality, what today is known as utility. And we thought about the fact that you need to use ether, meaning gas, to send ether, and I analogized that to a product. And that basic format, which is the genesis of the utility token, which has been used 1,000+ times over. They've taken our model, the model that I created back then, and have replicated it. There's been variations on it and some advances on it, but the basic model remains the same for the utility coin. It was.
Steve, we've had all the biggest names in crypto on our show over the month of January, and they've all given us their predictions or the themes that they're looking for 2018. What themes are you looking for in 2018?
2017 just saw a slight, it saw an incredible excitement amongst the masses about Bitcoin. The problem is they didn't have an easy onboarding into the system. It was very confusing once they got into the system. One of my partners likes to call this Gotham City. It's hard to get into. Everything seems a little weird once you're in it, and it's hard to get out of it. And right now, there aren't enough services to onboard. You just saw the Robinhood announcement, and you saw the hundreds of thousands of signups, within hours. I think what you'll see, one of the big trends is going to see is consumer-friendly onboarding and trading of crypto assets for the masses. And so, and that includes storage, so wallets, that includes being able to trade as easily as you could trade in your stock account, the ability to take your fiat and turn it into Bitcoin or Ether and be able to trade all of the altcoins. So I think that's going to be a huge trend in this coming year.
So simpler consumer onboarding, certainly one theme. What about the other themes?
So another trend that you're seeing that's going to be absolutely gargantuan, and it's a total game changer, is the shift from utility tokens to security tokens. And so a utility token is something that, as we did back in Ethereum, it's something that's akin to kind of like a product, and you're selling, future product to be developed. Whereas a security token, and you're trying to really be very careful about not tripping onto securities regulations, and it's very difficult and gets a little bit messy at times, especially for certain projects. On the other hand, a security token, it's a traditional securities offering, except instead of having a stock certificate or bond certificate or a forward contract or any of those other types of securities, these are tokens.
So Steve, if all these predictions about securities tokens are correct, then security tokens are going to make utility tokens look like a little drop in the ocean. Because utility tokens are quite limited in functionality, but if you think about it, you can really securitize anything. Do you think that now that T0 is coming online, by the end of 2018, the security tokens market will be bigger than the utility tokens market?
I'm going to make a prediction that within 24 months, you will see double-digit billion-dollar offerings. That's in offerings of the 10, 20, 30 billion-dollar range. There'll be watershed moments where you'll see a name brand listed company from NASDAQ or New York Stock Exchange where they delist on there, and they no longer have stock certificates, but they relist on T0 as a security token.
Is one of the main reasons for this T0?
T0 is the game changer. One of the reasons we are involved in that project, and there is because it's such a game-changing project. There are a lot of security tokens that are in the pipeline ready to be launched. T0 has a tremendous backlog, like a literally overwhelming number of projects that have applied to go into the system. But there are also a lot of other ICO platforms out there, and they have a lot of projects. Problem is that you can launch the ICO platform, but then, where does it trade? And for institutional, when you want to talk about big money coming in and doing big offerings, that means you need to get institutional money in. Institutional money is not going to come in. They've shown that they have not had a proliferous. They have not been very receptive to coming into utility tokens. They want a regularity certainty. It's in their charters. They have fiduciary responsibilities, and it's understandable. These are endowments. These are hedge funds. These are mutual funds. These are money managers, family offices. All of these folks need to have the regularity certainty.
Steve, I'm going to change the subject slightly because we're running out of time. You've been around for a while. You've seen this all before. Do you think that we are in a crypto bubble? And if we are in a crypto bubble, do you think we are somewhere near the beginning of the bubble?
I think we're in very early stages. And look, even if you look back at the internet, people like to call it the internet bubble. I'm not so sure at the end of the day, today you call it the internet bubble because your trillion-dollar companies came out of it. Apple, even itself being an app company, the app companies kind of, are an extension of the internet. The Googles of the world, the Facebooks of the world, these all came after with their so-called bust. That turned into a multi-trillion-dollar industry that changed people's lives and was as disruptive as could be. I believe crypto is going to be an order of magnitude higher disruptive. What you have is you have a financial disruption going on and revolution going on. And then at the same time, you have this blockchain underlying technology revolution going on. We've never had that before, where you're shaking up the entire financial industry, monetary, Wall Street, and otherwise. At the same time, almost every industry is going to be disrupted in one way or another, and they're all interconnected with the underlying technology. It's a very unique situation in time that we've never seen before.
If I were to ask you for 5 or 6 tokens that you must buy and hold for a period of 3 years, no selling, what would they be?
I would be a holder of Bitcoin. I would certainly be a holder of Ether. I think they're both going to be long-term winners. There is another one coming out in the next number of months called RSK, Rootstock. And that's another smart contracts platform that's been in development for a few years. I would be a holder of that. We have a project that we're very, very fond of that is a gamification app, and it's a real business. I would be a holder of that, and that's called Storm Token. And I'm going to squeeze one more in. T0, obviously, we've spoken about, and I would be a long-term holder of T0. And I'm going to throw one more in there, and that's the Ripio Credit Network.
Last week, a ratings agency called Weiss Ratings issued a set of cryptocurrencies ratings that set crypto Twitter into a spin. The ratings rated Bitcoin with a C, alongside Byte and Dogecoin. They gave Vitalik and Ethereum the first B- of his life, alongside Neo and just below EOS. Ripple scored a C, and Bitcoin Gold and Bitcoin Cash scored the same, a C-. Gavin Magor is the director of ratings at Weiss Ratings. Gavin, who is Weiss Ratings, and what the hell are you doing in crypto?
Sure, absolutely. Weiss Ratings has been around for many, many years. Back in the 1970s, Dr. Weiss was very interested in looking at bank ratings to start with, and then he gradually expanded through insurance ratings and then into stock ratings, then ETFs, bonds, and subsequently we expanded into, during the crisis we had back 10 years ago, we started looking at the banks from a global perspective, and we looked at sovereign debt. Now, of course, at this time, we're moving into cryptocurrency because there's a need out there for people to understand what the ratings are and what they mean, and to be able to actually invest in a way that they can feel confident.
Gavin, I think the question on everyone's mind is, how is it possible to rate cryptocurrencies?
As we're looking at it from an investment perspective, we are looking clearly at a series of indexes. And we take a risk index, which looks at the relative and absolute fluctuations, amongst other things. We look at reward, so we're looking at certain things relative to benchmarks. We're looking at technology, and we're looking at fundamentals. So especially for cryptocurrency, the technology and the fundamental indexes are where there's an awful lot of conversation about value.
What makes you think that you have the right resources to understand the technology and to be able to rate it in such a new and complex market?
Obviously, one of the things that we have done is to seek a lot of guidance as far as technology goes. We have an economist and mathematician who is very much focused on cryptocurrencies anyway, who is in our ratings team. And we are also focused on learning about, as is everybody, about new developments and what the future developments are going to be moving towards. Because if everybody had looked at Bitcoin originally, which they clearly did because that was the only one really out there, then there was limited knowledge about what technology was possible.
Okay, Gavin, I'm looking at Bitcoin. You've rated Bitcoin on 4 axes. On the rewards axis, you've given it fair. On the risk axis, you've given it fair. On the technology index, you've given it weak. And on the fundamental index, you've given it excellent. I'm confused.
Well, essentially, with the risk and reward, it is volatile, as most of the currencies are, naturally. So there's going to be a balance there between the potential for the reward that you're going to get out of an investment versus the risk of that investment not turning out the way that you would like it to. And over a period of time, it's become what you would say is fair. You're looking at reasonable returns. I mean, some people call them excellent returns, but let's call them reasonable returns based on the risk you're going to take, that it could be at 20,000 today and 10,000 next week, versus something where you're looking for a steady growth. I mean, normal stocks, obviously, if you had this sort of volatility, you would be saying don't go anywhere near them. We know that this is speculative. No one should be under any other viewpoint. This is all speculation. However, if you're going to look at them as the Model T Ford of currencies, then they are that primary start.
Okay, but what do you mean by excellent on the fundamental basis?
They've clearly been used by a lot of people. There's a huge developer participation. They've been accepted by the market, so they've got large market penetration. It's scalable, and it's got a good network security. The downside, of course, for them is transaction speed, which is becoming more and more a matter of discussion.
Okay, so I move down the list and I come across Cardano. The symbol for Cardano is ADA. They don't even have a product, and they scored a B.
Again, this is the thing where I was talking about the whether something is actually out there or whether it is still under the development. This is an area where once you are publicly out on the cryptoverse, you're going to be looked at, examined, taken apart. I mean, everybody is taking blockchains apart and criticizing what's there, somewhat constructively or otherwise. And someone like Cardano is viewed quite positively.
Okay, let's move to Ethereum. Now, I know Vitalik very well, and I know that he's never scored a B, let alone a B minus for anything in his entire life. You guys gave him a B minus, and you scored him less than EOS, less than EOS. Why does Ethereum get a higher rating than Bitcoin?
Well, obviously with Ethereum, that you've got a technology there that is superior to Bitcoin. There's no question about that. And when you're looking at, well, they have taken the approach that you're not going to have easy access. You're going to use our coding. It does create some sort of a challenge for others to follow. You're looking at the contracts, and if you believe that contracts is where it's going to be, then that's where you would go with Ethereum.
Our ICO pick of the week this week is one of the most hyped ICOs that I've seen in a long time. Not only do they have the second largest community on Telegram, but they're also solving a real world problem that both marketers and retailers have every day. Pitty, you are the founder of Nucleus Vision. What problem is Nucleus Vision solving?
So the whole point of Nucleus Vision, when we got started, is to create the wow moments for customers when they go into physical stores. The idea is to create like personalized service for customers when they walk into physical store that most of us are used to seeing in an online world. So, and we do it by creating real-time customer intelligence when the customers are in the physical stores using two technologies, IoT and blockchain.
How does it actually work?
Technically speaking, when you walk into a physical store, nobody knows you until you go to the checkout counter and probably give you a phone number. And a retailer does, even if they know you at that point, they really have no information about you until this point. When a store is enabled by Nucleus Vision, when you walk into the store, the Nucleus Vision IoT device already senses your presence in the store. And if you have given the authorization to Nucleus Vision and you're part of the Nucleus Vision network, then it first off goes and collects all of your information that is out there on the network and brings it and puts it back on your phone. And then pings the Nike store. For example, if you walk into a Nike store, it pings the Nike store in real time and says, hey, Ran just walked in and you have all this information about Ran, but this is missing. And if you have this information, then you can provide a more personalized service to Ran. And then it allows Nike to purchase that information, let's say from your telecom carrier or Tommy Hilfiger, for example, for that missing piece of information that they can buy from Tommy Hilfiger in real time. And if Tommy Hilfiger is willing to sell that information, you are the one who authorizes that transaction. Now, why will we all do this? For simple reason that you get paid for giving that authorization. Tommy Hilfiger gets paid for that information, and Nike is willing to pay for that information and authorization because they want your information so that they can personalize your experience when you're in the store.
Okay, now how does the phone know that I'm in a store? Do I need to activate my Wi-Fi or my Bluetooth? How does the store know where I am?
So we work with the telecom carriers to create this IoT network, which basically senses the 3G, 4G signal of the consumer phone. So everybody, all of us have a handset, whether it's a traditional handset, whether it's a smartphone, whether it's a non-smartphone, whether you have iOS, Android, Windows, any device has a 3G, 4G signal or a 2G, 3G, 4G signal, which is always emitting a unique digital signature that our IoT devices use to basically convert that into a unique identification, and then puts it on the blockchain to secures it and gives you identity.
Abhi, who owns my data? When I walk into Tommy Hilfiger and then I walk into Nike, who actually owns that data?
So here's the cool part, right? Here's why Nucleus Vision is so powerful. What we are trying to do is give all of that control back to the consumer in the store.
So what you're saying is, I'm going to have a much better shopping experience because I'm only going to get offers that I actually want, and I'm going to earn money or tokens while shopping.
The whole point is, every time we go to these stores, restaurants, banks, whenever you get this personalized experience, we always feel great. And you have to understand that all of these personalized experiences, they just don't happen coincidentally. It happens through data.
Okay, this really sounds too good to be true. If our viewers want more information, where can they go?
We have spend a lot of time building a good website. It's www.nucleus.vision. We have deployed the technology in about 10 stores. We have been testing it since early last year. We have tested over 50,000 unique identifications. We have serviced over 2,400 customers, out of which almost 70% of the customers have used our offers in the store.
That's all the time we have for tonight. Next week, we've got a very special show for you guys. We found 5 of the best ICOs in the world, and we're bringing them to you on Crypto Trader. If you want to know anything between now and next week, I'll be on Twitter @CryptoManRun answering any of your crypto-related questions.